The topic that you have chosen for your reflection this time is very important. I think this effort on your part to revisit the conciliar ecumenism, it's very important because I believe that conciliarity is one of the important dimensions of our ecumenical life that must be taken very seriously. Having written a book, as the General Secretary just mentioned, on conciliarity, I can give you a long lecture about it, but I will not do that. But let me share with you some of my perspectives on conciliar ecumenism. I believe that we need to have an ecclesiological approach to conciliarity. Because the conciliarity deals with the very essence of the church. The church is a conciliar gathering. Conciliarity is not one of the aspects or the marks or the features of the church. The church, by its very nature, is koinonia, the community. I think it is vitally important that we constantly emphasize and re-emphasize the koinonia, the community character of the church. And this is a conciliar koinonia. The church does not become conciliar. It is a conciliar community. Conciliarity deals with the very essence of the church. An ecumenical movement that deals with the reality of the church, with the self-understanding and self-realization of the church, is ipso facto a conciliar movement. It cannot be otherwise. Baptism is the source of conciliarity, and Eucharist preserves, deepens, and manifests the conciliar community. This is our understanding of conciliarity. Therefore, it is very important that we look at the conciliarity from an ecclesiological perspective and ecumenical movement being at the service of the conciliar community. Address this issue in one way or another. If you look at the history of the World Council of Churches, you will come to realize that for the first time, it was the Uppsala Assembly that raised this question of conciliarity when it referred to, I quote, a genuinely universal council, and referring to the importance of a genuinely universal council, Uppsala called the churches to develop, and I quote, a conciliar form of common life that are coherent with the present conditions and realities. That was, in a sense, a reminder and a challenge that conciliarity need to be taken very seriously by the ecumenical movement. And in fact, as I said, the World Council took very seriously conciliarity. The annals of the history of the World Council from 1768 till, I would say, early 90s are full of reflections pertaining to conciliarity and conciliar fellowship. After Uppsala, the Louvain meeting of the Commission of Faith and Order, then the Salamanca consultation of Faith and Order, and many of the consultations and meetings organized by Faith and Order focused their reflections on the importance of conciliarity. Nairobi, in this process, the Assembly of Nairobi, was in a sense a turning point. Nairobi came to say that the one church, that is to say the unity of the church, need to be envisioned as a conciliar fellowship of local churches. In a sense, that was a breakthrough in Faith and Order's attempt to seek different kinds or models of visible unity. Orthodox churches brought active participation, significant contribution to all kinds of debates, whether within the context of Faith and Order or in the central committees of the World Council, on conciliarity or conciliar fellowship. In the ecumenical debate on conciliarity, we came to emphasize the following points. You see, I just want to mention these without any analysis. First, as I said earlier, the ecumenical movement came to remind the churches that conciliarity belongs to the S of the church. The church is a conciliar gathering. Secondly, conciliarity points to the nature of intra-church and inter-church relations. In fact, koinonia, community, implies relationship. So conciliarity deals with the very nature of this relationship. And three, conciliarity builds fellowship of churches which are capable to confess together, to pray together, to reflect and act together. Four, conciliarity is a model of unity. As I pointed out, among a number of models offered by Faith and Order, I believe that this model of conciliarity is more challenging. And that is why the Orthodox churches, the Catholic Church, and many mainstream Protestant churches very much associated themselves with this concept of conciliarity or conciliar fellowship. Of course, with different emphases. And finally, conciliarity was perceived not only as an event that acquires manifestation in the life of the community, but also a process with a clear vision. That is to say, the visible unity of the church with the participation and Eucharistic gathering and the mutual acceptance of ministry among the churches. These are, I believe, that the achievements of the ecumenical debate on conciliar fellowship. While debating various aspects, dimensions, and implications of conciliarity, the World Council of Churches came to remind our ecumenical fellowship that the fellowship that we have is a broken one. It is not a full conciliar fellowship. It is rather a pre-conciliar fellowship. It is incomplete conciliarity that we have. I don't like the word broken. Probably it's better to say incomplete or pre-conciliar state of being that we have. But in spite of that, we are in somehow conciliar gathering. We have conciliar relationship. Conciliarity is there with us. That is the meaning of ecumenism. But you see, beyond all these different images or perceptions that we use to describe conciliarity, there is one thing which has always captured my attention. It is that conciliarity is a quality of life. Conciliarity is a quality of life that must be articulated in all aspects of our community and ecumenical life. I think this is essential. This is the core of our debate on conciliarity. A quality of life. What are the implications of conciliar fellowship as a quality of our Christian life? What are the challenges? I think ecumenism must take this very seriously. As I said earlier, the ecumenical movement must be able to give concrete articulation in different ways, in different forms, at different levels to this quality of life, which is an essential dimension of our Christian life. I believe that conciliar ecumenism is the way which we have to follow as churches committed to the ecumenical movement. The church can do without ecumenical councils, but the church cannot do without conciliar life, because conciliarity, once again I want to emphasize, belongs to the very essence of the church, and the ecumenical movement should help the churches to re-emphasize the crucial importance of conciliarity in their life.